Besides sending the police, you might want to send an ambulance or a hearse.
Hello, Billy Ho here. Week 9, final thoughts, game stacks, injury, news, updates, all that good stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Before we start, we're still having the giveaway, 250 subs. Just pass the word around and check the description for the Twitter link. It'll give you all the details you need to know. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Let's move on. 6 teams on by, 10 games slate. Something I thought about when we were mentioning it. I told you earlier this week, there's only 2 afternoon games. So if you want to just get different right away, you could probably just load up on the 8 early after or the early games, the 8 there, and be good to go. So keep that in mind. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do that on all of them, but I'll probably have a few. And you can always look for contests in early slate only, late slate only. Sometimes people like I've won money on 2-game slates before. Sometimes that just narrows the pool so much. It's it's better than showdown because you're not pigeonholed into having to have the captain, and then you can just build a regular game stack and hopefully 1 or 2 guys go off for you and then you win your money. So keep that in mind too. And let's see. Always looking for an angle to play. So let's go take a look at some games. I'm going to go over some of the same games I did last week or earlier this week, and some of them are new. And we're going to have obviously some updates throughout the show. So stick around, hit the timestamps if you want to go right to something that you're interested in. I don't mind that at all. So let's get her started. All right. Of course, the first game we were going to talk about is as last week was Buffalo and New Jersey. That was the first game that popped up. Not a lot has changed my mind in this game. You're still going to dig Allen, Diggs up top, 8,500, 8,400 respectively. Gabe Davis, 6,900, might go under owned because he's expensive and he didn't do much. McKenzie, just under 5K. And I think the best value is Devin Singletary. You can run him in stacks and as a one-off if you want to try to get leverage on the Allen folks, because he's probably due for a goal line touchdown. I imagine sooner or later he's going to get one, right? So or he breaks free. Corey Davis is out. That's probably the one main change because he was just questionable. But I think we all saw him trending downwards. So we're there with that. So with that said, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin, and maybe a little Michael Carter in this game. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it really wasn't, I want to get into things that changed my mind this week. And that's really, I'm still about where I was earlier in the week on it. Corey Davis being out didn't really, change my mind that much. So on to the next game. And that is going to be Afternoon Delight. And this was one of the reasons why I mentioned maybe trying to fade the afternoon games, because this is going to be probably the most popular stack because people aren't going to want to pay up for Allen after they saw last week where you could just pay down at quarterback and get Hopkins and AJ Brown and you score 240 points without even having a quarterback. That's just insane to me, but that's the way it broke. So anyway, bulk of the work going on here would go to James Conner if he were in. He's trending in the right direction, but I don't know. It's still unclear if he's ready to play. So Darrell Williams on IR. That's news, sort of. Eno Benjamin is looking good in the dome. I think he can handle most of the work. But if Connor is ready, you can use him. He works great. But if he's out, then you got Eno, and you can play him with Kyler because he does catch a few passes. Kyler will run more, so he's going to become a top priority quarterback if Connor's out, in my opinion. And then it's D-Hop, 7,900, Rondale Moore, and Robbie Anderson is 3,800, and maybe worth a flyer in large GPPs, but he's still learning his role, I think. So you could play Ertz if you want to, but like I said last week, he's going to lose that safe floor and be more touchdown dependent. Also, if Connor misses, uh, like I said, I think Kyler will also throw more, plus in addition to the legs. So keep that in mind. And I think he's a good pivot off of Allen, and he's cheaper, so that makes logical sense. On the other side of that, that is no lineup I'm going to use this week. Too many question marks. So after that, we are looking at Geno Smith on the other side, and he's pretty much becoming the cash play chalk of the week, it looks like. So I don't know if I would want to go there in cash. I mean, he does seem safe, but as far as I know, Arizona did a pretty good job on the Minnesota pass catchers last week, especially Justin Jefferson. Now, D Hop's a different kind of cat than Justin Jefferson, but I still think he gets his targets. I don't know if I'm going to go gaga because I don't think he's going to have this 36 slate breaker. But I mean, he could catch 10 balls for 80 yards and he can beat anybody on planet Earth on the 5 yard line running a slant or a one, like he did last week. So I think he still gets plenty of opportunities to score. And he would be the one run back I would probably use because if you went Geno, you're spending 5,800. And I like Lockett almost better than I do Metcalf this week because Lockett has had big games in Arizona's dome before. He's always great on the fast track. And both these guys have no Q tag and they're both under $6,500. So, you're not really hamstringing yourself that much. And then you could play Eno Benjamin as a run back, or if you want somebody cheap or something like that. Also, you have Rondale Moore at 5,200 would be a good run back. I think he sees a few more targets. Keep an eye on Goodwin. I think with both Metcalf and Lockett in, Goodwin is a no play for me, even at 3,900, unless somebody gets hurt. But we're not going to know that, obviously. I think of the Saints game of a few weeks back when I think of this. So that I think that's what other people are doing too with the Geno Metcalf Lockett because they all just went to town last week. And even Ken Walker had, if you go back to his Saints game a few weeks back when they lost 32-39, he only had 8 carries, but he had that long touchdown run. So he could break one, that's for sure. I think Arizona obviously is not the best team in the league against the run. And last week, both Cook and Madison did damage. So Ken Walker, definitely a good pivot off of the Geno stacks also. So keep that in mind. I like that game. But the next game up is a game I'm kind of souring on. I was kind of all about it earlier in the week with a 5,900 Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think that Q tag's much anything. We can look at it. Right thumb, he's had that for a couple weeks. So, he might ditch that designation before the game time Sunday. Obviously, both running backs, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, are worth a look. Dillon got, I think, a little more work last week. They seemed to be all about the run against Buffalo, but they couldn't keep him off the field. It could be completely different, but Detroit is just a sieve against the run game. I mean, you saw it last week. You see it every week pretty much. So Aaron Jones, but as soon as he looks like the smash play is when he doesn't do shit. So I'm kind of scared of that. Swift with the Q tag again. Jamal Williams in. I don't know if I like Jamal Williams being the bell cow by himself because he seems to do better when Swift is in, and then he can just play off of everybody trying to key on him. I don't know. Of course, you got St. Brown. I think this is what I had written down. The Green Bay secondary was supposed to be the nuts this year, but have underperformed for the most part. But I can see Jair Alexander doing a good enough job on Antonio St. Brown, or Amon St. Brown, I'm sorry, to prevent him from a huge day. I'm becoming, like I said, a little more skeptical. I think A-Rod has a pretty decent floor, but the upside might not be there. Lazard's still questionable. Dobbs, he's still a rookie. I don't know. Khalif Raymond on the other side, I kind of like. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, if Lazard did get a clean bill of health, I would probably be more interested, but we'll have to see about that. Now, Tanyan, people are talking about paying up. Robert Tanyan is 3,800. He's been getting a decent amount of targets here lately. I don't know if you see the Big 12 target game there, but you never know. Detroit is not very good against tight ends. So, I mean, Mike Gesicki got off on him a little bit, didn't he? I mean, 27th, take it for what it is. So, Big Bob Tanyan in there in the mix as well. That's about all I need to say about this game. It's not high priority for me anymore. I'm going to get over here to a funky game a little bit. I don't know what to do with this game. This game seems like a muckety muck game, but it's got all the star power you'd ever want, right? So Miami at Chicago does look interesting. The weather does seem, update on the weather. The weather has moved ahead of Sunday's game, it looks like. So all that rain that looked like it was in the storms in the forecast is going to hit today and tomorrow. And it looks pretty clear Sunday, but you're obviously going to have some 12 to 15 mile an hour winds and maybe a gusting up to 18, especially at the beginning of the game. So as we move on through the first half and into the second half, it could open up for the team that's trailing to maybe get a little bit more love in the pass game. So that's kind of cool. I like that. Now they did. The big news here is that Chicago Bears did add some stability to the offense by getting Chase Claypool from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he's a perfect complement. I don't know how much he's going to play, but he's big at 6'4" and quick. And he's been impressing guys in practice all week. $4,800 is cheap enough to take a shot on you if you want. I mean, if he plays 20 snaps, 4,800 is great. Now, if he plays only 10 snaps, but he gets 5 targets, I mean, they're going to have some plays in there. They're going to have to bring some sort of firepower to this game against Miami, in my opinion. So the Bears, Justin Fields is still cheap. And like I mentioned in the previous video, the Bears are finally putting him in position to be successful. Actual called plays for him to run instead of the scrambling kind. And if they get behind in this game, he can throw. And I think you'll see more Mooney and Komet. Maybe they'll get some more targets and be more productive, even with somebody like Claypool on the field as a decoy, because they have to account for him. So that's kind of interesting in that way. And obviously, Miami side is huge. Tua, Waddle, Hill, and be done with it. Mostert looking for a bounce back week. I don't know. I haven't read the news on Jeff Wilson Jr. coming to the team, but they dealt Chase Edmonds, which I thought was great for Mostert. And then they bring in Jeff Williams, who is another transplant from San Francisco. And he's obviously got that same Mike McDaniel coaching tree from Shanahan. And also for the season, let's see, averaging 5 yards a carry. It's hard to say how much he'll play. I think this might be one good week to play Mostert because he's probably going to get the bulk of the work. And against a team that Pollard ran all over last week, Mostert looks like a pretty good play. That's probably about all I got for that game. Unless the Bears get down early, they're going to run a ton. Monty and Herbert both got 15-plus touches in a game they were losing to Dallas. So that's interesting. So keep an eye on that because you can use both those running backs as kind of maybe a pivot off of some chalkier plays in this game. That's about all I need to say about that one. And now this super interesting game here, the Chargers. Everybody's talking up Justin Herbert as the big stack guy this week, but I mean, seriously, I would much rather have Kyler Murray because even though he throws 50 times a game, he hasn't been super efficient, and he's already missing Mike Williams, Keenan Allen's having another setback with the hamstring. So he's 50-50 at best, in my opinion. Palmer is still not out of the concussion protocol. So basically, it's Palmer and Carter as your wideouts with Gerald Everett, who I like, as a $4,800 pay up option at tight end. Now, you take that with what it may, and then the only guy you might want to play is Austin Eckler, who popped up with a Q tag here with an abdomen. I don't know what that means fully on Wednesday. If he strained it doing crunches or something, maybe we'll have to see. We got plenty of time to find out. 8,800 is a fair price for what he's been doing lately and the workload he's getting. So Josh Kelly, I do believe, is on IR. He is. Cordell Patterson might be back, getting over to the other side. So Allgeier, I don't know if they're. It's hard to say. We'll find out tomorrow for sure. They'll either activate him or they won't. So if they don't, then Allgeier becomes a pretty solid play, I think, at running back. He is starting to tick up there with some decent amounts. And Atlanta, all they want to do is run the ball. So I feel pretty good about that. And no tight end for me. I don't care if, Pitts had a good week. I still, Drake London seems to have regressed. Mariota's using his legs. So I don't know if any pass catchers are appealing to me. This is kind of a stay away game for me, honestly. Even with the, maybe a piece or two. Like if Keenan's definitely out and Palmer clears protocol, Palmer's an awesome one-off play, 5,100, and then I'm going to throw him in my season-long league. So I don't know if I can bench Mike Evans or not. Discord channel shout out. Let me know. I'll ask you all that. Is it worth benching Mike Evans? Speaking of Mike Evans, we're going to move on to a game that I added to the schedule here because I didn't have much interest in it to begin with. Tampa Bay has been just so terrible. I don't know what happened to them. It was like Tom Brady went from 45 to 55 overnight. The Lenny Fournette gained 50 pounds and he's fat Lenny again. He can't run. And so I don't know what to think about this, but I think it's got my attention is the fact if Cooper Kupp guts out this ankle injury, because I think he had it last week and he still got 8 for 79 and a touchdown. I mean, if it's not one of them injuries where he can aggravate it and make it worse, he's going to play. All they'll do is give him a shot in his ankle for the pain, and he's going to be out there running just like he always does. Now he might lose a half a tick on the burst, but he's still so good that I don't mind him. 8,900 is as cheap as I can remember him all year long. So depending on that, now I have interest in Stafford because Allen Robinson seems to be coming around a little bit. The last couple of weeks, he's had 6 and 7 targets for over 50 yards. He had the 1 touchdown, and I think he was pretty damn close to a touchdown again against San Francisco, but it just didn't happen for him. So he might not be a bad play. Van Jefferson hurt again. Skoranek is I think there are no plays for me. Now, if Jefferson's out, maybe Skoranek, but they don't really play the same type of position. So I'm not so sure about that. But the guy I am interested in is Tyler Higbee, and I guess he's going to be massive chalk since he got the price drop, and everybody's smart enough to know that he only went 2 of 6 because he almost broke his neck on his first catch of the day. So last week, and that really derailed my fantasy week with Higbee. Brate's out. Kate Otton's pretty good. So you got some reasonable tight end exposure if you want it here. I don't mind that at all. So if Cup is in, I think I will try some Stafford stacks. He's obviously going to be in the late slate for sure, because that would be a great pivot off of both Kyler and Geno. You play that might be the plan. You play Stafford in your late slate in your stacks, and then that way you're still different because he's probably the third quarterback, maybe even the fourth, because people still have faith in Brady. So he might even be the fourth highest owned quarterback there. So let's just take a look real quick. We know he's cheaper. Okay, so he is number 4 in price, and he might be number 4 in ownership, because people are going to say, "Why would I pay 5,600 for Matt Stafford when I could pay up to get the super stud Geno Smith?" Which absolutely makes sense, but you never know. Kenneth Walker could come in and steal some touchdowns and big yardage plays, and then there's turnovers here or there. Game scripts can get derailed at any time. We all know this. Anybody who's played fantasy for more than 1 year know that for a fact. And let's see. I don't think there's any more pressing news. Just keep an eye on your reports, your Twitter guys that you follow. This one right here popped up to me. This fantasy alarm, shout out to them. I found they had actually one of the more recent, like updated today injury reports, which was kind of cool. So, and they kind of break it down into, Twitter and scenarios and updates and whatnot. So they seem to be doing an all right job. I'll track them and maybe start using them a little more, because I've been a bit disappointed in the injury reports. People don't, I mean, if DraftKings is where I'm going to get my updates, then it's looking pretty fucking sad. I'll have to say. I don't cuss a lot, and I try not to, but I felt it necessary on that one. So thanks again for watching, everybody. Be on the lookout. We're going to have PGA preview video coming up next week. And, as always, the weekly NFL videos. So I'm trying to do the 4 videos a week thing, 2 of each, and see how that works out. And then maybe start adding a few other things in. Be on the lookout for some super dope, awesome PGA news. We're going to grow this community. So hopefully you all listen to the end of this show and look into it. Join the Discord for free. Hit the sub button. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.